Dutch Pekin.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to Coastside Fire Protection District Board of Directors, our regular board meeting, May 22nd, 2024. Roll call, please, Jean.
Good afternoon, Director Cockrell,
Here.
Director Hannah.
Hello?
Director
He's
Hannah?
here, he just stepped up.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm present, sorry.
Director McKimmey,
Here.
Director Cheryl,
Here.
President Burke.
Yes. Thank you. Please join me with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which they stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like at this point to ask Director McKinney if he would make an announcement regarding one of our past firefighters. Bruce?
Thank you, President Burke. Chief Cox, I want to thank you for making the arrangements to have the flags lowered to have staff on all three stations. That sure was appreciated by his whole family, his widow and his children. And I want to thank you as well. Rolf Loeffler, Fire Chief, Pointe-Montclair Fire. He was there before I was hired, before I was a volunteer even, and I don't recall when he left, but if we can have a moment of silence in his
Very good.
memory, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Bruce.
And this is I'll pass it, Cynthia's read it, I'll pass this to Patrick. It's from his widow. Use the paper. Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on, do we have any members of the public who would like to address the board, please? Yes, you can use the podium. Thank you. If you.
Hi, my name is Harry Eisenstein. I'm president of the Half Moon Bay Amateur Radio Club. And I'm here today. In amateur radio, we have our big event in June, and this year it starts at 11 a.m. on Saturday, June 22nd, and runs till 11 a.m. Sunday, June 23rd. And for 24 hours, amateur radio clubs such as ours will be operating off the grid, and by the way, in Canada as well, making as many contacts over the air as we can. Last year, we discovered first, because it was the first time we had our event right over there below the Johnson House, that we needed permits from the city and from the fire district. The city did not charge us, but last year we had to pay $250 to the fire district. And I'm asking if the board will waive that. And towards that end, amateur radio is the backstop when everything else fails. If you lose Wi-Fi, if you lose your cell phone and your landlines, which we did during the PSPS, we found that, whoops, we're all that's left over. And we have, in that cabinet back there, you will find a ham radio, which is all ready to go and plugged in. All you need to do is pull the coax out of the wall right behind where you're sitting, and you've got an active ham radio station. The fire district, though, has been kind enough to also let us have our monthly meetings in this room, which we very much appreciate. I do have some folders here, which I'll start down this end, so that you can have a look at what Field Day is about and why it's critically important to amateur radio so that we operate our skills. Additionally, if any of you or your staffs have some time on the 22nd, probably the best time to drop by is in the afternoon, early afternoon and late afternoon. We'd be more than happy to have you, and you can see amateur radio working completely off the grid.
Thank you very much. Any questions? We'll refer the matter to Chief Cox, and he'll be getting back to you to check, because there's not an agenda item for us today.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Yeah. As I said, June 23rd.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Good. Any other members of the public who would like to address the board?
I think we have Michelle Dragoni to admit.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. There we go. Jonathan's way better than people. Any other members of the public who would like to address the board? Hearing none, we'll go back to the consent calendar, and please note that Director McKinney is asked to be recused. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? So moved.
Seconded.
Second, and a second, I'll second it. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Jean.
Board Member Cockrell.
Yes.
Board Member Hannah.
Yes.
Board Member Cheryl.
Yes.
President Burke.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0, 1 recused. Director McKinney.
Moving on to item 6, continuing business under weed abatement. And Chief Cox, it has your name here, but just looking at the sequence here, it looks like item C on the agenda ought to be taken up first before A and B. Or does it make
Yeah.
a difference?
It does not make a difference, and I can explain the three if you like. The first one is really just the process for which we will now authorize the contractor to abate the lots for this year's weed abatement program. These are the lots that have failed to comply with the health and safety nuisance that we published. So this is authorization from the board to actually undertake that work on those properties.
Then I'm going on to item A. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2024-14?
So moved.
Second,
Seconded.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Jean.
Board Member Cockrell.
Yes.
Board Member Hannah.
Yes.
Board Member McKinney.
Yes.
Board Member Cheryl.
Yes.
President Burke.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item B, consider approved resolution of the district authorizing the deputy chief to execute agreement with the winning company for weed abatement services. Pretty straightforward, chief. Any?
Nope, this is the
Any
contractor
comment?
we'll be using to actually undertake that work.
And the contract is in our packet. It's a public document. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 224-15?
Yes. So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Jean.
Board Member Cockrell.
Yes.
Board Member Hannah.
Yes.
Board Member McKinney.
Yes.
Board Member Cheryl.
Yes.
President Burke.
Yes.
Motion
Moving
passes
on.
5-0.
Moving on, item C, adopt resolution. So
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Jean.
Board Member Cockrell.
Yes.
Board Hannah.
Yes.
Board Member McKinney.
Yes.
Board Member Cheryl.
Yes.
President Burke.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Just as a passing comment to the board, and I think this was mentioned last meeting or a previous meeting, that before this subject comes up for another year, I think it's the time for the board to really review the efficiency and need of this program and how it's run and what we need to do on it. We were well into it this year. To change it or consider changing it. This late date was probably not appropriate, but certainly before another year goes by, it's time to take a look at it. I think being redundant, but I was under the impression that all fire districts had this type of thing, and was somewhat surprised to find out we're kind of unique in that capacity. But that's for another session in the future. Moving on under continuing business, item D, good news. Discuss the District of Distinction, Chief Cox.
And I'll go ahead and take this one, President Burke. I'll try to take
Okay.
the next couple and give John
John
a remote break. So yeah, this is more of a discussion topic and informational. The item is in your binder. Congratulations. We received once again the continuing District of Distinction. In your packet, you will see a news release that we plan on putting out on Thursday, I believe. Just kind of announcing that. So open to any discussion.
Good job to the admin team here. in the office who worked so hard to get us coordinated and all the paperwork done.
It's unfortunate that Chris is no longer working in the office, because boy, did he hammer us on making sure that all the necessary.
He was relentless.
It was all.
I feel like this district distinction should be, he should probably get a duplicate certificate. to hang up
Exactly.
this wall.
How many fire districts like ours have this award? Is this,
I think so.
I guess because Calvary Special Districts deals with any kind of special districts, so I wonder out of all the district
Yeah.
members, I wonder how many have a.
a few years ago, I heard,
I would
this,
assume
like,
it's-
it was just like 2 or 3, we were it.
I forget how many years ago, when we, first one we received, and I'm not sure how many we received. But the first one we received, were a function for the California Special District Association, a big group of people. They asked the people to stand up and grab the special district, they were free. Now, a lot of people have certainly come on board since then, but it's still a feather in the cap of the district and to the staff and everybody else associated with it. My congratulations to you, Chief Cox, Chris, and everybody else. All right, any other comments? Okay, moving on. Moving on to new business. Item A, adopt resolution 2014-16, resolution of Coastside Fire Districts approving the purchase of 36 Bendix King BK 9000 public portable radios. Chief Armstrong or the Chief Cox?
Yes, sir. I'll take this. So this is a budgeted item. It's in the current fiscal year budget. We did receive the multiple bids for procurement policy and everything. We chose the lowest bid, and that package is in front of you. We're just looking for approval to move ahead with that kind of prepared purchase that we were ready. And it's in the amount, sorry, not to exceed $114,396.
And I understand that one of, first of all, questions, comments, okay? Well, first of all, do we have, and before we go any further, do we have a motion to adopt resolution number 224-16 to purchase the radios?
So moved.
So moved,
Second,
moved and seconded, discussion.
obviously, we gotta have, I mean, the strikes move is, you know, if necessary, and also necessary to have ones that are reliable, which would be suggest new ones. Are the ones we're using right now still serviceable?
They are, Ken, I don't know if you might have a little bit to weigh in on just kind of the interoperability as far as, are these the tri-bands and so forth?
I'm not sure about the new BKs. I know the chief officers have the tri-bands.
I'm sorry, I guess the question was more so, where the ones that we're taking out of circulation.
Chief Cox can
Okay.
probably weigh in, but I thought they were gonna be repurposed.
That's what I,
for
Ye-
volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. The plan is for these 36 to be issued to each line staff member, and the current BKR 5000s to be issued to each volunteer. The overall goal of this is so that every firefighting individual in the district has a radio issued to them. And this is on the heels of CAL FIRE transitioning away from the old legacy P150s and KNG2s.
What is the possible lifespan of these radios? Do we know?
The question is, what's the life?
Yeah, so the lifespan is anywhere from, gosh, the current P150s are at least 10 years old now that the CAL FIRE has put in service. So 10 to 15 years would not be unreasonable for these radios.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Do non-CAL FIRE fire stations, firefighters have this equipment
the same radio or like,
compatible? Or
yes.
They do.
Everybody, the models might be different, but they all have to match up to the system that we're utilizing. So as far as encryption and security.
Thank you. Any other questions at all? Okay. We have a motion and a second, I believe. Roll call, please, Jean.
Board Member Cockrell.
Yes.
Board Member Hannah.
Yes.
Board Member McKimmy.
Yes.
Board Member Cheryl.
Yes,
President Burke.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, review and discuss sponsoring one coastside volunteer firefighter to attend paramedic school. Chief Cox.
And I'll take this one too before handing back to Chief Cox. So as you remember, last year, beginning of 2023, this board thankfully chose to sponsor two coastside volunteers through a paramedic training program down in Monterey County. Those two volunteers successfully completed. They recently graduated. Actually, one of them still finishing his internship, but he graduated the course, and once he's done with that internship, they'll be ready to receive their paramedic license and hopefully come to work here in the district. Chief Lord went back out and pulled the current volunteers and found one that is interested and fits the bill as far as being ready to go. There is the opportunity to have that individual placed into the SIM training program that's starting July 31st of this year. So this board so chooses, we should be able to get her in. The cost is approximately $26,000. That's $16,000 for the program, and then the stipend for their transport,
Right.
feeding, all that as the program goes.
Seems reasonable to me. We have this on here, is this an action item, considered an action item to go forward, or just at this point to discuss it?
It should be in action. Well, it says review and discuss, however, we would need to, I would need to at least be able to let the.
Get a view
program
for the
know.
board, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's a cutoff as far as telling.
Sure.
Yes.
volunteer committee meeting at that time. But I'm happy that this is moving forward and continuing for the community of the coast and this young up and coming firefighters. I think it's a fantastic thing that hopefully will carry on for many years. And if we have, you know, 1, 2, or 3 people in the future, hopefully that's also a possibility. I know that this time is it one individual, Chief Cox, that?
Correct.
Yeah, so but that's this particular time, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that we definitely should, you know, let the public know that we're doing something like this as well. So maybe next year we do that wonderful brochure that was done, we can add, you know, some of that information on just, because it's a good community resource that kids that are finishing high school right now or just getting into any kind of public service that has an interest in fire to know that we have this and they're a local would be a phenomenal thing to get out of. So I just, again, thank you.
So may I presume that if Cal Fire hires this person after he's been fully trained and certified, that you'll reimburse us the $26,000?
Assumptions are very good.
You know,
Bruce, Cynthia?
I'm good.
I need
You
to-
got my head.
This is great.
Not to,
More
We-
paramedics is good.
verbally-
paramedics.
we can't, it's not, but
You mentioned,
but we can verbally go like this and
I'll
They can-
mention, first of all, I'm certainly gonna be supportive of as well, but let me just mention a couple of items that occur to me. One is that we have a contract with CAL FIRE. And in that contract, it says that CAL FIRE is going to supply paramedics. And I don't recall the exact number, but I think it's 14 and the whole thing like that. And I know that, and I'm not up to date, but I know that I guess CAL FIRE wide, there's a real problem with having paramedics to come forward to do that type of thing. And that's why we're involved in trying to do it. From a financial point of view, which is not a consideration finally, my point of view, but if we don't have the paramedics, obviously we're not paying them. So the money that we're paying for having people trained, if you will, is almost a trade-off. It's not a 1-for-1, but it's not like whatever the number was, $18,000 to train or something like that. You know, in a sense, if you really kind of get down to it, it's somewhat of a trade-off in money in terms of what we're doing. The other, maybe I'm being a little bit paranoid of this, but you know, I'd like to have some indication from CAL FIRE, if this is a statewide issue and everybody's having, problems getting paramedics, what is CAL FIRE's plan to address it? You know, I have not seen any special program, funding, scholarships, or anything else that might address it so that each month we're not debating whether we're gonna have one volunteer do it every month. But there's just some kind of a plan to do it. I don't expect, you know, you to give me a quick answer, but I think at some point in time it would be helpful to see the message from CAL FIRE regarding paramedics as to what their intent is to go forward with that. Those are my two observations. Anything else? This is not an action item, but I think the sense of the board is we support it and we go forward with it.
Absolutely.
We'll bring this
It's been
back.
put on next month's
Yeah.
agenda.
Okay. Anyway,
Can we do a straw poll just to give him more direction?
it's 5-0.
Okay, thank you. That's right to me, but.
I just count.
He just took the poll.
Cool, sorry.
Okay, all right, thank you all, good item. Okay, let's see where.
7C, sir.
Yeah, item C, resolution of the Coastside Fire Protection District amending the professional service agreement for design and project administration services for Station 41. Who's going to take that?
Chief Cox may take
I-
this.
Yeah, I could take that, President Burke. Just some
Yeah.
context here. After last month's meeting where Sean Rose gave a presentation about options for the south lot at Station 41, it's the understanding of the staff that we are going to do the additional scope of the plan, but not actually pull the trigger on having that work done. And the reason this is important is because we are actively working on a couple grants to fulfill the Connect to Coastside program, as well as the Safe Schools, to try to acquire funding to improve that entire intersection there. So that would include sidewalks that actually transition to crosswalks that actually transition to another sidewalk on the other side. What's in front of you today is actually getting the planning work done by RHAA for that additional scope of the plan. This by no means is a decision on the work to be done, but just making sure that the plan is able to encompass that greater scope as we go for the grants that would affect the other neighboring properties.
Thank you, Chief.
No question.
Comments and questions?
So getting, and we discussed a little bit, I think, the grant money, or at least along the lines of there was a ADA commission, maybe there's money there. We had a conversation recently. But the grant money then cover that cost as well, because that's in, I assume the 74,296 Chief Cox is in regards to additional planning for the scope, including the sidewalks and that.
Yes, so the additional money, the additional authorization for the $10,200 is for the additional scope. So obviously in any grant that we would go for, we would include the design phase that we're approving today in the grant application for reimbursement.
Well,
Sure, and then Lincoln,
Okay,
we got you back, Jonathan.
Jonathan,
Yeah,
we
I'm
lost
sorry.
you.
Sorry, I don't know where you lost me. I was just saying that we would add the 10,200 into any grant application for reimbursement as the design fee for the additional scope.
Chief, as I read through this, we approved this program's South Lot Improvement Project last meeting and asked for a number of things to be done and gave some direction on it. As I read what is on the agenda today in the packet and what's being asked is really just in addition to what we approved last month. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is in addition to actually meet that intent of the design of the additional scope.
To implement what we approved last month.
Correct.
So to clarify then, last month's approved document and cost was in the 200 and something thousand range, I believe.
I don't have that in front of me,
I
better.
think it was somewhat less than that. Yeah, it was a fair percentage.
So Chief Cox, from the dollar amount, we're not sure exactly what it is. I thought it was 200 and something thousand that we were talking about for the planning of it. For the garden and then et cetera, and then with this total amount of 74 will be in addition to that?
Yeah, so the best way to think about this is RHAA is just doing the design and planning, getting us up to 100% construction documents. That's what they've been employed by the district to do. This additional 10,000 with RHAA is the design for that additional scope that we want to get planned for so that we can apply for the grants to actually encompass the project beyond just our property. So this is just the design phase of the additional scope. This is not any sort of construction or implementation.
But I think the message we heard last month, it was important to get on this right away for planting season and everything else, and to interact with the county as soon as possible. Anyway, comments? Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 2024-18?
So moved.
Second,
Moved and second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Jean.
Board Member Cockrell.
yes.
Board Member Hannah.
Yes.
Board Member McKimmy.
Yes.
Board Member Cheryl.
Yes.
President Burke.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you. I believe unless I skip one, we're at the Board of Directors and Chief Report, Finance Committee. We have in our packets, in a public document that is available, is a audited financial statements for the year, the packet. And I think it's, to summarize it, it is a unqualified, it's a no questions being asked or questions in regard to our finances. It's a really kind of a very positive public document that is available. If there's board questions or anything like that, I'd just like to take a moment, and it gets kind of boring to go through this, but let me just take a couple of items I think are worth noting. If you would, if you go to the channel or to page 5, you'll notice that the total net position of the district from 1 year 2022 to 2023 increased by some $5 million. It was a very possible positive year in that respect by anybody's measurement to do that. Similarly, if you were to go to year ending on page 9, it tells you where that money comes from. It's just a summary where that $5 million dollars additional for the year has arrived from. And then on the page, let's see. Which is always of interest to anybody that's in finances, if you will, is on page 10. And there's the balance sheet as constructed, balanced out with our assets and liabilities, if you will, it's $22 million without questions on that. And the final one that I think just as a point of information, if you will, that if you or any member of the public is interested in where funds come from, revenue and expenditures, there's a summary of that on page 12 to go through. And the remainder of the document is detailed information. If you really have trouble going to sleep at night or have other questions to become a CPA, it is all there in a very positive manner. Questions and comments?
Is the ERAF, I see in this the document I'm looking at was 1.5 million. Is that source in jeopardy?
In my opinion, it's something here, yes. But nothing has happened in our world.
Okay, thank you.
This is, I don't see on my agenda that there's a motion to adopt the annual audit.
Yeah, that's correct, President Burke. We actually adopted it last month. This was just the hard copy that we had bound for each board member.
Looks like we lost them.
Yeah, I think we did. Hi, Dave.
Hello.
Hey, did they drop off?
It looks like it, yeah. Just says here now.
We should probably,
They're back.
Jane, did you hear the question?
no, I'm sorry, we lost you for a few moments
The
there.
question was whether we vote to adopt or to adopt this annual audited financial statement or vote to that we received it.
No, I'm going to defer to Chief Cox. I think he was answering that question, and we have already done that. I think this is just in your packet for informational purposes. Is that correct, Chief Cox?
That's correct. We have fulfilled the obligation to adopt it by resolution last month. This is for each board member's records in a hard copy.
Thank you, Chief. Very good. Moving on to the spreadsheet that's in your packet for information for this year. Again, another public document. We had a very strong April so far as revenue for the month, some $3.6 million. The final 2 quarters for our annual CAL FIRE contract are now in here as part of our expenses, so that we've now paid for the 4 quarters of that. The district as of this date is 59% of our budget year to date. There's just kind of an interesting sidelight. If you look through the PAS report, that on 7/1/23, our balance in PAS, our balance was $3.7 million. If you will, 7/1/23. As of this day, 4/30, end of April, the balance was $3.8 million, $100,000 more than it was before. In the meantime, we paid out over $200,000 in healthcare expenses for our former employees. PAS has been working very well for the district and continues to do so. That's all I have. Any questions on the financial? No. None. Moving on, volunteer committee report. Director Caldwell, Director Hammond.
There was no volunteer business meeting, so I have no report.
Okay. Moving on to land structures committee report. Director McKinney, Cheryl. Director Cheryl.
I have no report.
No. Okay. Report. Vegetation management committee. Director Caldwell, Director Hammond.
I have nothing to add at this point. Yeah.
Special districts report.
Actually, can I just, since,
Yeah.
it's, I know it's not related directly, we've discussed like the Quarry Park and other areas they're dealing with that. I am curious, since it is roughly my neighborhood anyways, and I've observed the burnings that are not there, which makes sense as far as how do you get rid of that much fuel. But I did notice that 2 things. One, I think that, and I'm not an expert in this, and I'm not gonna phrase it perfectly, but whatever burn units they're using are supposed to be filtered, if you want to say, so that the smoke and exhaust is not potentially toxic, but annoyance to the region. And I noticed when I was walking my dog that quite a lot in the afternoon when there was just one individual on the property maintaining, making sure it was safe. It was just, you know, whatever they had burned that day was just kind of sitting there smoldering and sparking and, you know, it's like a massive campfire inside of a dumpster, right? So it's carrying on. So it begs the question, one, who, I know the county is doing this, it's their property. Were we involved as a fire district? Because one, from a fire risk perspective, if there's a fire there because of someone's negligence in this project, we're the ones, this district is responding. So what was the
Ryan,
communication?
Leslie?
How much communication did we have?
Do you have a
with these
comment?
guys? I'll handle that one. Yeah, so the district wasn't directly involved in it. However, so they're air curtain burners, and usually it does burn very efficiently once they get going. The startup and the cool down are typically, it's like you say, it's like an open fire. So it takes them a little while to start generating enough heat to where it is combusting very completely, and then you don't see hardly anything coming out of the heat vapors. That said, we do have that, so they have to shut them down daily, just so that they aren't unsupervised at night, when they're supposed to. We had a little bit of growing pains with them in the early first couple of days, what their processes were and so forth, but I think we had those rectified, and I don't think we've had any more issues as far as making sure that they're on site until those, you know, shooting efforts are out and so forth. We did have engine 41 over there at least at one point. So we have, but like I said, I think that's kind of settled down. Once they're done, with the current log decks that are set up there, they'll be moving those out. And we'll be back on.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on. ALSJPA, there's no meeting. In fact, ALSJPA is having a difficult time getting a quorum together. They have a meeting, but there was no meeting. Emergency preparedness report, is Chief Cosgrave. Yeah. Is he with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you for inviting me to the meeting. My microphone working because I got a new computer and it's been acting up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. DM's been very busy. We've almost doubled our size of employees, so we have a lot of onboarding that's going on. We've been offering a lot of classes to public agencies and to the public. In June, we have a G611, which is an EOC level classes that are available for people that want to learn about the finance track, logistics, operations, management, planning. Each one is a one-day class, going to be held here in Revit City. It's offered for free if any of your employees want to take those classes. We did participate with Coastside Fire and the Sheriff's Department for the first functional exercise of using the high-low siren evacuation in San Mateo County. So I'm sure you're aware of the signs and things that went on with the upper El Granada Highlands of evacuating people if they voluntarily, and had a small kind of town hall down at the El Granada school. So that was very successful. We're going to repeat it again in the unincorporated area of Palomar Park on June 1st. Other than that, our primary responsibility right now is getting ready for the August 3rd Disaster Preparedness Day. We're trying to work with CERT teams and fire departments to do another type of evacuation thing where have a check-in point where people that are coming to the county fairgrounds or the county event center for the Disaster Preparedness Day on August 3rd, they check in at the Red Cross tent, and we're going to try to do a tally of which neighborhoods or which jurisdictions have the most people reporting that they evacuated, and then they'll be hopefully get some agencies there to give out evacuation tips and home hardening defensible space information. So we're trying to have a focus on that as well as other things. We have stop the bleed classes, first aid, and other classes going on. So other than that, we're working hard to build out our crew and fit the needs of the operational area. We serve 20 cities in the airport on top of the unincorporated county. So thank you for having me.
What,
Thank you.
what was your estimate, the percentage of people that participated?
I think we got a lot of information out to people. It went out door to door, so people got the information on it. I think being a Saturday morning, For the area that was actually evacuated home-wise, I would say less than 50%, but I was not tracking the actual count. I don't know if
Thank you.
anybody was. We'll check with Jordan.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Dave.
Sure.
Cert report, Director Cheryl.
Well, so it's been busy. Chief Cosgrave, before you drop off altogether, I want to thank you again for being the MC for the Sunday Volunteer Appreciation event that was held here. Thank you so much. You did a great job. That was a fun event. We do it every other year and we're very grateful to the Coastside Fire Protection District for allowing us to host that event here. It was an opportunity simply to say thank you to our volunteers who work for us all year long. Coastside Gives was a huge success for Coastside, who were we Coastside Cert. It was, they raised $1.6 million for, I know, nonprofits across the coast side, and of that, $25,000 was raised from the community directly for Coastside Cert. They divided into 3 categories: small, medium, and large operating budgets. We were the top dollars raised by the small operating group, which was surprising to us and delightful. We had 50% more donors than last year, which was an honor. Thrilled to have that. So that we're just grateful, just very grateful for the whole thing. This room, Chief Lord, the district hosted the Net Academy, which is a civics course that the city of Half Moon Bay gives. They say twice a year, once to adults, once to younger people. And that is a 4-class course that teaches people, residents, anyone can sign up, it's free. You come in the evenings, they give you dinner. They teach you how everything in the city works and a little bit about the county. And the evening that it was held here, the subject was public safety. And so in addition to fire, there was the group that runs the CARES van, that is the mental health van. Law enforcement was here. Who else was here that night with us? And pardon me, Chief Cosgrave. Right, DEM was here. And Ken, you did a beautiful job of presenting the fire services. CERT was here. So again, thank you so much. What happened was usually these classes are held in the library. It got double booked. Suddenly the city manager was over here in Ken's office. Ken said yes, and it was held here, and it was a great success. And the kind of side benefit is they got a quick tour of the fire station, which I think is always helpful for people to get to see this operation. It's very impressive. So that academy was fun. Measure K is stalled right now, but hopefully that will come back to life. This is the grant that CERT has theoretically been awarded, but they're working on paperwork right now. And then finally, what we've got coming up this next month is called Radio Palooza, and it will happen right here on June 8th. In the morning session, it's for beginning FRS or walkie-talkie operators. In the afternoon, it's advanced subjects. So people who are way into it and running their neighborhood nets every month or week, whatever they're doing, are coming that afternoon to really talk about some of the more advanced networks that they're forming on behalf of community safety on the coast side. End of report. So
Thank you very much. All good news. Terrific.
Thank you.
Good going. Great. Attorney's report, and Jean, I know you have something to say this afternoon.
No, I don't, except happy summer and no additional report.
I thought there was something about an approval of building or something going on the county that you might mention.
Oh, I believe on your next agenda, we will be bringing forward a lease for your consideration with the county for Fire Station 41.
The the good news is that the county council signed off on that process. So
That's what we've been waiting for all this time.
I think it was started, was it 2013? I don't know. It was a long time ago. That's good news, Gene. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Show me the money.
all right. Fire marshal's report.
Good evening. For the month of April, we had 37 plans and 28 inspections on the coast side. We last week completed our weed abatement lot inspections. Moving forward on, well, that was to identify what lots had not been handled. From there, we participated specifically, Captain Moda participated in the evacuation drill as a representative for our office. And June 1st is the Wine and Jazz Festival downtown. We'll have approximately two blocks closed off, expecting 5,000 to 7,000 people.
Wow.
So it's growing significantly since. Well, from what they said it was to what it was a big difference. So I would expect probably based on the size and setup, there will be more than 7,000 people there. Not sure. And a report.
Thank you very much. Fire chief report, Chief Cox.
Yeah, and I think Chief Cox and I'll probably end up tag teaming this a little bit, but I'll kick it off.
All right, thank you.
Been mentioned a couple of times, the evacuation drill in El Granada this last weekend really was a DEM event, but we did also participate. Major thanks to Battalion Chief Ibden and Captain Moda from Patrick's office and their involvement in that. It was a big help. We did message out, we were sharing basically DEM's messaging and also message ourselves to all the residents prior to that and everything. So generally, we had some pretty good feedback after the fact. Continuing to work on make upgrades to the website as far as adding information about the Station 44 projects and district policies, updating the ordinances on there and so forth. So that'll be continuing to be ongoing. Chief Cox is continuing to work with Montero Water on the hydrant maintenance agreement. So that's ongoing. We're gonna get there one day though. We can just add that to probably continuing business. We can put that with Gary Silva's facility projects. He's also continuing to work with CalPERS on terminating that miscellaneous employee contract. We're just waiting for them working through their mathematics. Hopefully we get some sort of final figure in the next couple of weeks to be able to move forward with that.
I'm counting on it.
Yeah. Also, the sheriff's office is reached out to us to collaborate on a fireworks buyback. So they're going to be, I don't know if that word's out in the public just yet, but they'll be hosting a fireworks buyback here at Station 40 mid-June, where they will be, it's not my news to share, but I'll share a little bit. They're going to be basically offering gift cards for anybody turning in fireworks, and then they'll handle the disposal of everything. So that'll be a good fire safety event for the coast. Also, I'm going to come back to the dispatch thing. I'm going to finish with that because I'll probably get more long-winded than I need to be. There is a MCC meeting this evening. They did invite, for lack of a better term, us with some more questions and concerns about the Station 44 project. We have reviewed their questions and concerns. Unfortunately, Jonathan's out of town, Chief Silva's out of town tonight, and I'm not available to go. So Sean Rose will be representing the district. We have considered their questions and their questions. We have some thoughtful responses, and hopefully they are received well by once Sean delivers them. On the staff side, hopefully you guys have had a chance to meet Megan Henry, our new analyst. She's doing a fantastic job, and it's very nice to have somebody back in the office full time. So hopefully you guys have had positive experience with her. She's doing great and picking things up real quickly. Chief West, what we were sharing him between Coast Side and San Mateo County Fire, the battalion chief. He promoted last week to assistant chief for us. So division chief, it's synonymous. So he is now Gary Silva's partner. He's handling the county fire operations side. So we are, and with this board's approval of that other half battalion chief, we'll be working on refilling that position. And it'll be full-time here on the, so we'll have 3 operations battalion chiefs here on the coast. Once we rehire that position. Just a couple other things we did have near Quarry Park, the curtain burners. We had a wildfire preparedness week on the CAL FIRE side a couple of weeks ago. Little press conference there. CAL FIRE used that footage. It went out to the Bay Area affiliates and so forth. So it got a little bit of feedback on that. No significant incidents actually to report this month. And on the facility projects, I don't want to steal all of Gary Silva's thunder, but fencing project, darn near done. Installation project here at 40 to start soon, and the bathroom project is ongoing. You heard the update on the south lot of Station 41. And I believe that is all that I have, unless there's anything that Jonathan has to add.
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
The thing I said I would come back to.
Yes.
So, dispatch contract, ALS JPA, I'm gonna try to do this as succinctly as I can. The ALS JPA, which President Burke alluded to, COSIDE and all the other fire departments, in the county are a part of. I won't go deep into the mechanics of it, but essentially, by us having paramedics on our fire engines, part of that ALS JPA, we typically get some sort of, it's a reimbursement, and it's for first response units for having the paramedics on the engines. We get a reimbursement from that ALS JPA, basically a funnel from AMR for providing services to help AMR. The collective fire agencies agreement for dispatch services from Public Safety Communications that's run by the county, that is kind of rolled up into that ALS JPA agreement. Last year, the CEO, Mike Calabi, came to the fire chiefs and this ALS JPA saying that they are basically underwater for that dispatch contract, and was asking for the fire agencies to contribute more. I'll leave my personal opinions out of it. They're asking for more money, which seems to be reasonable. They had negotiations, if you will, ongoing, and we're kind of at a stalemate. So we're in a bit of a pickle right now, because we're out of a contract with Public Safety Communications for our dispatch. And yet also we want things of them. So it's kind of hard to demand things of somebody that you don't have a contract with and who you owe money to. So there is a little bit of a stalemate with that going on. President Burke, as COSIDE's voting member of the ALS JPA, soon, when we actually have a meeting with, when we make a quorum in the United 10, we will be getting an updated report. And from what I remember, I want to say the cost, the asked cost by the county to this district was somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 a year. That's off the cuff. I'd have to really go back deep, but just know it's been an ongoing thing. The county is trying to fix it. But we are in kind of a weird situation right now, and know that it could be a future expense that we haven't seen before, because that we've essentially never paid out of pocket for dispatch services. It's just been provided for us because that money's been passed through that ALS JPA. We never received it and paid it back to them. It just was services provided for free. So for free in essence, like I said, not out of pocket. So again, just the point is, as we go into 24, 25, we could eventually see an increase in dispatch.
So all of the fire districts in the county are serviced by this dispatch function. Okay. And we're
way back.
Which COSIDE is part of.
Yes,
Still,
yes.
well, I'm understanding just on everything, we're having problems keeping them staffed.
they're having the same issues that everybody's having, rising costs, inflation's outpacing revenues and so forth. If you tracked, I don't know if it was last year, to lose track of the years, either last year or the year before in Marin County, they had a long-standing deal with the sheriff's office, and the sheriff finally, I believe it was the sheriff's office, said, hey, we're not doing it anymore, you better figure something else out. And so all the fire agencies up there are scrambling, trying to start their own from scratch. So yeah, you're right. It's not just a local issue. It's a systemic thing. Down in Santa Cruz County, it's the same thing. Their dispatchers are always, they're the minimum staff.
Thank you.
So two questions. The first is, how did they ever pay for this? What was the source of funds for this dispatch service? Because they wouldn't be a revenue producer except through invoicing.
The county essentially, for the county's position is that they have been footing the bill and that they are finally looking for sharing that cost by the users of the system.
And how do they apportion? If our charge is 300,000, how do they apportion to all the fire districts in the county?
Basically by call volume, by the number of incidents that is dispatching for the agencies. They had a couple of different cost breakdown structures of it, and the input that was sought and that the fire chiefs provided was the most fair thing would be by number of incidents.
So the county was affording this via tax dollars, or currently has been. What is
So
it?
imagine,
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, the county has been running this operation for the public good, as anyone would assume that 911 and dispatch is handled through our tax dollars. So they were running this from a revenue source of tax funding. And now maybe they're looking at their budget shortfalls. I don't know their budgets, but they're now asking districts to help pay for the costs of something that has been run up until now as a public, need and expectation of which each individual taxpayer is paying. So that seems also a little bit conflicting in my mind.
let me,
Well, if I may,
yeah,
because we have paramedics on the engines,
Sure.
we get kickback from the ambulance, the
Man-
tune of 300,000 a year, and that,
And that gets,
it just bypassed us and went right to dispatch.
that has been occurring.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
only they want a little more.
And now AMR does not want to do that or portion of the.
no, that's still going to happen, and I'm sorry if I left it
No,
a
it's
little gray, but what's happening is the amount that we currently still get on top of what is contributed to that dispatch on our behalf. We have still got a little bit of money from the ALSJPA, like Bruce says, like $30,000 per rig per year, so we get $90,000 essentially for 40, 41, and 44.
They probably want that.
Yeah, exactly, and so we would essentially finally be paying a little bit out of pocket. We'd be a net negative.
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
makes sense.
the,
Does something like this qualify for Measure K funding from the county? I mean, that's that sales tax that seems to result in available funds.
I'm sorry.
it would be kind of awkward, I think, Cynthia, for the county to fund themselves. Really, that would be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
The-
ALSJPA is in and of itself a county organization.
No,
Oh,
Let's save the organization of ALSGPA for another meeting.
okay.
But just stick with the finances. The reason, that I asked the chief to put this on the agenda is the kind of questions we're getting. And, I can tell you that, I guess now the two meetings that have gone to ALS, it is a very hotly disputed question as to who's gonna pay, how much, how did you arrive at these numbers, and a whole bunch of other things. And there is, I believe they call a subcommittee of the ALSJPA that is digging into it further and all that type of thing. Interesting enough, at least the new proposed, as yet not adopted ALSJPA contract, it has the same amount of money coming to this district as it was previously. There's been no changes to it. But when I listen to some of the people who are really passionately involved in whether they should be paying more for the county dispatch and where the money comes from and so forth, it clearly is a financial exposure for this district. Number one, you need it. I mean, there is no question. I mean, that's not even, a discussion point. But, how you just, on any kind of, when we get 16 fire districts and you start deciding who's gonna pay what, it's gonna be controversial. And it is, and it's still being discussed, and I think it's just, I just wanted to have this board have an idea that, yes, it's going on and be interested in it because it could have a sizable impact. If you think about it for a moment, ERAF is, it has some challenges to it as well. This item is a financial challenge to us. And if you look at the finances of the state, the county, and the cities, all of which are having serious problems. And I think we really need to pay attention to our own revenue and expenses as well. And this is a key item in that whole package.
Thank you.
Anything else on the subject?
I was just trying to pull.
This item might be back on your agenda for discussion in the future, if you will. The statistical items and calls and everything is in the packet, it's just a public document with, if you will, and the PAS report for the current month is also in your packet. It is very positive. I think it's been mentioned, I just touched on a couple of things, that the status of the CalPERS miscellaneous employee buyout payoff, if you will, is still pending to do that. The status of position taking, whether the district is going to take positions on public policy issues is still going on. I'd ask a question that perhaps Chief Fox, what's the status of the delivery of new engines?
Oh, I'm sorry. So engine 340 is still being built. That's the type 3 that'll go here at station 40, replace engine 640 to go to patrol. And then engine 44, Captain Minkstein and Chief West, I believe, they were just back in Wisconsin last week. Was that the pre-build or final?
It was pre-built.
Okay, so I believe on that one, we're probably still solid year and a half after.
Wow.
At least sometime after the first of the year.
It's 44.
And refresh my memory on, even though it's a year and a half out, in last year's budget, did we pay for it?
I believe that we did, Jonathan will obviously know better. I believe that we did because you get a better deal by.
I think that, as I recall, but if the delay in time is.
Do we upfront it, Jonathan?
We did, yeah, we paid cash for both of those up front, and we got, I believe, a 10% discount on both.
What's the proposed delivery date for 340?
We have not been given a date on that yet. They are waiting for chassis from International, which we're in a long queue with Type 3s at the moment.
I'll just make a comment. There's a development going on in the city of Half Moon Bay that's been quite controversial. So, yeah, at least on a couple of occasions I've chatted with some people who are either, doesn't matter where they are, but the interesting thing to me was that I asked him, does the fire department sign off on the have approval of the building and so forth? And the answers I got, don't worry about the fire department, the city approved it. Well, it's, I think a lot of people are being misled in thinking that this is a slam dunk and, the cement's in the ground. And from what I understand, it's not. And what little I read on the subject, it doesn't even mention, if you will, there's a lot of other things that need to be done. I just think that I mentioned it at this meeting so that people who are a large audience, really starts asking some questions about it. In fact, to make sure that, the full consideration is taken, looked into in terms of what the fire district is going to impose upon that kind of a building. End of comment. Okay. Anything else from any member? Any other comments? Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.